We have seen that tribes of people living along the Nile River learned how to use water from the river to farm the land. At first, their land was divided into Upper and Lower Egypt. But in about 3100 B.C., the two lands were united under a king called Menes. An Egyptian ruler was called a pharaoh. He was considered to be the child of a god, or even a god himself. The people worshipped Re, the sun god. They also worshipped certain birds and animals as gods. That was thousands of years ago. So how do we know so many things about the ancient Egyptians? How do we know, for example, that a live crocodile was kept in the temple pool at Crocodilopolis? We know these things because it was all written down. The ancient Egyptians had a language which they wrote using little pictures. Writing using pictures is called hieroglyphic writing. These are a few of the pictures used in hieroglyphic writing. For example, here we see a little picture of the sun. This is water, and this is a piece of cloth which has been folded. They also used a goose, the leaf of a marsh plant, a shape like a mouth, and the strap from a sandal. Some of the pictures meant exactly what you might think. For example, this picture of an eye with tears meant to cry. This bee meant bee or honey, while these wavy hills meant hill country. But most of the pictures were actually used to represent sounds, just like the letters of our alphabet. For example, a mouth represented the sound R, like our letter R, while the water symbol stood for a sound like our letter N. A mouth plus water spelled a word, the word name. Finally, some of the pictures represented more than one letter or sound. For example, the goose stood for two sounds, S and A, and sounded something like sa. The sandal strap had an even longer sound. The word for sandal strap sounded something like ANKH, or Ankh. When sounds like these were put together, they could make longer words or even parts of sentences. For example, a folded cloth plus a sandal strap meant causes to live. Now, when we see ancient Egyptian writing, we can recognize some of the pictures. This oval frame is called a cartouche. Names of important people were always placed inside of cartouches. These two cartouches contain the royal names of Ramses the Great. And remember the sandal strap, the ankh? We find it everywhere on temple walls. It had a special meaning to the Egyptians, for the ankh was the symbol for life.